Welcome everybody to this new episode of Garage Groove. Thank you for joining us. We are working on the fourth episode of Yamaha XS400. Okay, this is a budget build. And we're going to get into a lot of stuff this episode. We're going to talk about some things that we ran into. Now, a lot of the stuff isn't on film here because I'm not in the garage that much. So when I am, I sometimes just work efficiently and try to get things done. And that means I don't even turn the camera on a lot of times. Let's take a look at this thing. It's got a nice look to it. You know, I like the look. The paint job is actually quite bad when you get up to it. This is one of my worst paint jobs. But the styling is cool. You know, you got a sleek, sporty, retro, very European style with, of course, the Japanese reliability. So that's a nice combination, you know, of looks and performance. So in this episode, we're going to be talking about a lot of little things that we ran into. Okay, we had a charging issue we're going to talk about. We had an oil leak we're going to talk about. We had some jetting issues. You're going to see us working on the exhaust. You know, the exhaust wasn't even, I thought the whole time when I was looking at it, this piece right here, somebody did a 2-in-1. I thought this piece was already attached to that. I just had to finish welding it, but it wasn't. It was just tacked into place, and there wasn't even a hole cut here to accommodate that. So all of that we're going to do. Of course, you're going to see us painting the gas tank. And, you know, we're getting close. The biggest thing here is we're leading up to our big trek on this bike. We want to do a big mileage thing on here, a journey. So that's what we're leading up to. And normally, like I said, you know, I'm not here that much. This would have been about a 3-episode bike, but I think it's going to end up being a 5-episode bike. So we're not finishing it on this episode. The next one, we will finish it. There's just little stuff left, but you will hear it run, and we'll get into all of those little details that we ran into, all the issues on this episode. Stay with us. Thank you. Okay, we are going to obviously get the carbs working properly. We're going to get this motor so it's running. Hopefully it's running great. We don't hear any noises or anything like that. You know, we know it's living. It's a living motor. We don't know the health of it yet. We will find out though. We're going to do work on this exhaust on this episode. Somebody tried to do a 2-in-1, and we're going to finish it off whatever they started. So we're going to be doing that. Take this thing. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to throw a little bit of paint on this tank. Now, I've ran some color schemes on my, you know, in my mind, and I wasn't quite settled on what to do with it yet. So the first thing we have to do is we have to see what colors do we have. Now, there's a couple ideas I have. Now, the one was silver. Okay, there's not a lot of silver. Okay, we do have the blue. We got some of this baby blue stuff. We're not going to use the green. We got red. Red's good because, you know, the logo. We want this to be a Garage Groove type of a bike. We got some other type of blues in there. I'm not really seeing what I wanted. I was hoping we had, well, I was thinking silver on here with a red pinstripe, racing stripe. And then we can find like a Yamaha emblem to put there. That's kind of what I was thinking. We'll look at that, okay? We got a bunch of colors, but unfortunately, I'm not seeing what I want. We do have some red, but we have some gold. Gold and red might not look too bad, but you know, I went with silver handles here. I could have got these in gold, but gold might not be bad. You know, gold with red, with the red stripe. We got to incorporate something of the Garage Groove logo in there, whether it's the red or the blue or something. But I figured either a silver or a cream. Do we have cream? If we have cream, that might be all right too. You know? We'll see. Let's take a look and see what we got. Whatever color we have to work with, we'll do that. And then we'll throw a coat of paint on it because it's actually a fairly decent day. As you can see, the sun's shining outside. And what I could do is, once the paint is on there and is settled for a few minutes, I can open the door or whatever. You can't see my breath, so that's good. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Let's throw a little bit of paint on this thing, and we'll go from there. We'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we have put on a primer, and it's drying. Remember I said it's kind of a nice day, we should do it? Well, look at it. It's like sunshine. And I got our heater right above the tank, and we're letting it get the temperature. Make sure it's not too hot. No, that's good. That's how we want it. Pretty good. So then we're gonna see what this thing looks like. This is antique white. I don't know, it's been in here for a while. We'll see how that looks on top of it. We're gonna let this primer set for a while though, but we'll see in a little bit. Okay, let's take a look at this. We got some runs in it already, I see it. From a distance, don't look too bad. We got some sheen to it. All right, you can see that. I don't know what it is on this metal. Maybe there was some oil on it or something. I should have cleaned it. I was kind of in a hurry and paint things. This side isn't too bad. Now we were thinking we're gonna do, now this is horrible right here. Look at all that. That's horrible. We're gonna have to sand that out and hit it again. But we're gonna run a red racing stripe right down the center. I think that'll look good. Well, it's a few hours later. We painted this thing today. We kind of rushed it, you know. That was always my weakness, you know, the paint and all the patience and stuff. Take a look at it. It don't look too bad. I've had better turnouts than this. But that's kind of in a nutshell, the color we're going to go with as a background. Now remember, it's going to get, there's a lot that's going to happen to this tank as far as paint and decorating goes. So what we're going to do, if you look close at this, you see that, you see that. Something happened. I don't know. I should have cleaned the tank, but I figured it's brand new, and it held the primer just fine. It's 2000 grit. I didn't have the 3000. See that? Okay, so we are doing a couple things. This is episode 4, Yamaha XS400. We're working on the tank, as you saw. You know, we're kind of painting and sanding and trying to do the best job we can in the painting department. My expectations are never high in that department. We're also working on the exhaust. Now, see these, I added these patches and stuff. We're going to ultimately wrap this. I happen to have, where did I see that? I think it's in this drawer. Yeah, we got some nice wrap. So ultimately, we're going to wrap this exhaust. But somebody, the previous owner, all they did was this second piece right here, this was only tacked on to the main pipe. They didn't even cut the hole. You know, they just sawed the piece, and so we did all that. We cut the piece. Unfortunately, I didn't have the camera on during that. But one of the things I do when I'm working with thin steel, there's a lot of tricks to it. You know, if you're an awesome welder, you can get away with it and not blow holes through things. I tend to blow holes in a lot of this thin stuff. So what I do is I'll wrap it with a piece of steel, and then I will draw my steel from this and melt it down and make my beads off of this. So I'm not blowing hole through here. So it ultimately becomes one piece like that, you know, but you're not blowing as many holes. So I'm gonna run my bead from here down. I'll roll liquefy the steel from here and roll it down and fuse it into this, and I'll do that all the way around. That's kind of my way of getting around blowing holes in thin wall pipe. I just add steel. And then I grind it down. And this one I don't have to worry about too much because we're gonna ultimately wrap it anyways, but we want all the holes covered up. So let's go ahead and finish this head pipe here. Once we covered this, then we have this piece right here. We'll add to it. I'm going to leave that uncovered, so our wrap is going to go up to here, and that should be good. Okay, and then we have quite a bit to do to the tank yet, so because we're adding a few different color things to it. So we'll just keep moving. We'll see you in a little bit. Okay, there is the exhaust, and it's on the bike. I kind of got the pipe coming out the side like that. I guess that's cool enough. It seems pretty, that's not going anywhere. I might wrap something up there just to hang on to it. It's not a showpiece, but I don't like this part right there, but what are you gonna do? I was trying desperately not to get any of that fiberglass on me, so I know what that stuff's all about. So, well, in any case, it's on, and I think that pipe should sound nice. You get a little bit of back pressure there. It's not too short. About a mid pipe there. It looks good. Okay, that part's done. We're gonna keep moving. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do our first official start. Remember the last episode, we kind of got it to pop and come to life a little bit, so we know it was a living motor, but we're gonna actually run it a little bit. Now keep in mind the carbs are not that good yet. There's a lot of popping and stuff going on. I've already kind of started it. Unlike like Faison's XR and stuff, you can buy a new carb for like 15, 18 bucks and be done with it. Used carbs for this bike, used, that would need rebuilt, so you're not gaining any ground. You're gonna be basically starting with what I already have. It's like 200 bucks used. So I mean, that's really not an option. But I think a lot of it is the fact that we have open pods on there. It's probably running lean. So kind of keep that in mind. There's some popping and stuff going on. We'll address that obviously before we take this on a ride. But this moment right here is just to hear it run, hear the pipe. You know, hopefully the phone mic does some justice to the pipe, and we'll go ahead and start it. It's like I said, it flutters a lot too. You hit, you give it some gas and it'll just pop a little bit, then it'll kind of rev and kind of hang up a little bit, and then it'll feather back down, and there's a lot of that going on. So you know the carbs ain't right yet. But let's go ahead and start this thing.
Is it idling?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Oh my god, it's freezing. Water sucks. There it goes.
Hello everybody, welcome back to our Yamaha XS400 project. Now it's been probably about 10 days. I haven't had a chance to do much to this. I had a little bit of time today, and let's go over a few things here. I'll tell you what I'm working on right now concerning the bike, but I wanted to update you on some of the stuff that has kind of come up. So we have kind of addressed a lot of little things. We ran into trouble, I'll tell you where, is right on this unit. You can see I've been kind of experimenting with it. I want this, now when you get into the older bikes, you know, the new ones, they have a typical stator. It's got your wires that are designed for the creation of the spark, and then you have what they call the lighting wires, and that's what gives your bike the energy for other output, you know, besides the spark. Now in these bikes, it's kind of separated. So you have your stator part, and then you have your generator. Well, the generator here has grounded out. In other words, as soon as you hook this up to the female end of this, which comes out of the harness, this comes straight out of the bike. It's one of these, it's this black one, it's grounded out, so it pops the fuse. The reason that happened is I have apparently a bad regulator. Now again, in these older bikes, you have this finned unit. This is your rectifier and your regulator. They're two different things in these older bikes. Okay, the newer bikes, they come as one unit. Consequently, you got a unit in here that's a one spinning unit, not a spinning unit, but the flywheel spins around it. But these older bikes, you have two units. You have the stator itself, and then you have the generator. Well, the generator, because this regulator was bad, it burned this out. So I have another one coming. It was a cost that I wasn't expecting, but it's just how it is. I started the bike and I was running it. It was fine. I didn't have any issues. But the one time I thought, hey, let me see if this is charging my battery, because that's something we're going to need to know, So I hooked up my meter to it, and lo and behold, even at idle, it was at like 16 volts, and I had revved it a few times and this and that. And then it came to a point where the bike just stalled, and I wasn't sure what it was, and I was kicking on it. I couldn't figure out what the heck happened. And then something told me to go look at the fuse. The fuse was bad. Well, as soon as I popped the new fuse in, as soon as I turned the key on, I saw it actually flash, and it went out. So then I did some investigating, and that's where we're at with that. So that's what we're waiting for on that. I have added, you can see these red pods on there. I had it idling nice, and it was just nice that I was able to, I thought about it, and I put the meter on it. We wanted to make sure it was recharging the battery, and it was doing way more than just recharging it. It was going to burn it up at some point. So I caught that, and we have a new generator and a regular, not new, but a good used one coming, and another regulator coming. Now, going back to these XS, you got Honda has the CB series, the Kawasaki has the KZ series, Yamaha has these XS series, and the Suzuki's got the GS series. Very reasonable bikes to work on, to do this type of project with. I got a regulator and another generator, both for $50. You can't beat that. That's shipped also. That's shipped, everything. So, I mean, there's the advantage of working on these type of bikes. If you get into any of this type of stuff that I'm doing, you want to, don't have a whole lot of money to work with, but you want to have a good time. Who doesn't, right? These are the bikes. If you like Hondas, get your CBs. If you like the Kawis, right, get the KZs. If you like the Suzukis, get the GSs. And if you're like me and like these Yamahas, get the XS. I like all the bikes. But so that's kind of on hold. That's going to be coming up here in a couple days. I'm going to get those. And then we'll try to wrap it all up in our 4th episode. Currently, we're working on the tank. Now that's kind of eyeballed down the center. That's going to be red. And then we're going to pinstripe it on the outside of it, and that's the best that's going to happen, man. This is absolutely my worst paint job. The paint did not cooperate one bit. I was working with cold weather and damp, and oh Jesus, whatever, man. That's what I'm going to be able to do with this. I sanded it down twice. I mean, I did everything properly, but the paint just kept spider webbing on me, you know. You can look closely. You see all that. It's just terrible. So anyways, we're gonna try to sand this down the best as we can, and we're gonna put a red stripe down the middle, and then we'll outline it with some pinstriping, and that's gonna give it that cafe kind of a feel to it. So that's kind of where we're at. We're gonna work on this tank. We're gonna get it kind of prettied up as best as we can, and then that's gonna be done. In the meantime, we got our generator and our regulator coming, and then we're gonna put the meter on it. We'll get it started. We want you guys to hear this thing purring, idling. Sounded nice. It does sound pretty decent. I'll give it that. But and then I got this stupid looking tank on there. I'll take that off, and then we'll put the real tank on it, and it'll come together, man. You know, by the time we're taking this on the road, I should have everything done. But again, you know, we got a lot of stuff cooking in the background that's not really channel worthy, you know, but we're working on some businesses and this and that, and it's just a busy life, man. Hectic. But we like to do what we want to do, you know, and this is one of the things I wanted to do. I wanted to put this video out there and get people motivated to go out there and ride, you know, and have fun. And I'm a lover of all bikes, man. You know, you saw the BMX, I like the mountain bikes, the pedal bikes, the mopeds, the everything, you name it. If it's two wheels, I'm all about it, you know, more than anything else. So that was the purpose of this, and that's something I wanted to do. You know, I want people to go out there and ride and have a good time, and I don't want people to think it takes thousands and thousands of dollars to do this. You know, when am I going to get a chance to do all this? You can do it right now. Just, you know, hopefully this motivates you. So we're going to keep working, okay? We'll see you soon. Thanks. Okay, so we have painted this tank. Kind of give you an idea what it looks like from the back side. I like the shape of the tank. I think the shape of the tank is really European. Looks cool. I put basically we went with a two-color scheme, and then we used the black pinstripe to kind of outline things. I put the Yamaha logo on the side. So that's kind of giving us our look here. Now this is going to be kind of a hybrid bike, because it's not going to be a pure cafe racer or a street tracker or anything like that, because we don't have the low handlebars like a cafe racer, and we're going to actually add like a travel package in the back here, where we have a little case for goodies and whatnot. One thing that needs to be mentioned, the camera does not tell the complete truth about this tank. Tank looks pretty decent. This is absolutely the worst paint job I have ever done in my life. This is horrible. But that's what I had to work with. Nothing was really right for the painting of this tank. To begin with, they had some sort of a oil film on the tank. When I got it, I cleaned it, and I must have missed a spot. So that spot was always bad, and the temperatures weren't right. I'm not a good painter. I mean, I had everything working against me. So we did the best we could on it. I'll tell you what, the TL is 10 times better of a job than look at this. My masking tape wasn't quite on right. It was just a horrible job, but it gives a decent effect, you know. Again, this is not, none of my bikes are show pieces. This one is actually, you know, a budget build, so we're not going for any kind of a look. I mean, whatever we do is just a bonus, I guess. We didn't even have to paint the tank, I guess, but We had it, so we might as well, right? Now, what we're doing is we got our voltage regulator in. So this is the old one. We're in the process of taking this one out and replacing with hopefully a good used one. This right here is the old unit. Looks like a decent unit, man. It really does. Wires look good. I always add this stuff. I just clipped this one off. You know, these seem to be more universal. Plus, I got the whole package here, so that's what I work with. There's the new one, or the new used one, I guess. And that's the old one. So presumably this was bad, giving us very high voltage, which ended up frying our generator. Right, that's our new generator. Now I'm going to show you a little trick to test these. You know, when we talked about grounding out, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's go ahead and hook up, hopefully, this good regulator. I'm going to put that right there in place of the other one and get that, we'll get that wired in. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll see you in a minute. Welcome back, everybody, to Garage Groove. So, you know, there's some time being expensed between episodes, and even between me coming into the garage and stuff. Now, it's been probably about 10 days since I've been in the garage working on this. I got some other stuff going on. It's just all business stuff, okay? I almost thought about doing a time-lapse video of work so you guys can see what I'm doing at work. You know, we're hanging TVs and we're getting ready to open up a shop, and there's all sorts of stuff going on. But like I said, you know, the thing I would like to do is get everything working smooth, and then I can come back to the passion. That's what you do in life. Whatever it is that you start, you gotta give your full attention, and then you gotta work the bugs out of it, and then hopefully you can manage it and have it working. You know what I mean? So in other words, this business that we're starting, we're gonna have to devote all of our time to it, or most of it, you know, and you're seeing that here. I'm not here that much. But then, you know, we get it up and running, work the bugs out of it, we get it smooth, and then we get some people, and then, you know, it's a smooth flowing operation. And that's like everything in life, man. You know, you go to a new school, new job, new town, whatever it is, it takes a little bit to work the bugs out of it, and bikes are no exception. You know, whenever you get a new bike, you build something, you got to work the bugs out of it. Now, this thing, it's starting to take shape, right? It's starting to take shape, and this is as far as I've gotten. But don't think a lot hasn't been done. We've ran into some trouble, and I want to give you guys some information. Okay, so one of the first things I ran into off camera was oil leak. This bike had a nasty oil leak. Okay, now anybody who's going to be working with these years, I think it's 79, 80, 81, or 80, 80, 81, 82. Those years, XS400s, there's a little problem. Okay. And you can't call the Yamaha dealer because they're not going to be able to help you either. But I'm going to solve that for you if you run into that situation. Now, what we're talking about the clutch shaft. There's a shaft in here. I'm not going to take this all apart, but I'll explain it to you. When you pull this clutch in, you know, you got the shaft that goes all the way through and pushes the pressure plates, right? Here, we had an oil leak, it was basically spraying out. You know what I mean? I couldn't run the bike that long. You know, in the last episode, we saw this bike. We knew the motor was gonna live and breathe, but we really didn't have it functioning the way we wanted. We just heard a little popping or whatever. Okay, we got a lot of that resolved, and that took some time. Okay, but this seal, what happened was, I went straight to the diagram like anybody else would. I went to the parts diagram, and it's showing one seal. So I ordered the seal because I figured, you know, that's the only thing that could be wrong. Here's the seal that they sent me. Now, lo and behold, this seal was not the right seal. And when you look at the diagram on the parts fish or whatever, climber manual or not the manual, but yeah, the manual, it has a diagram and it's going to show one seal. It does not show the other seal, which is this wild looking thing. As far as I can tell, this has no part number. It is not listed on the diagram, and mine is no good. Now, this is quite the funky looking seal. But what I did to remedy that was I actually took the measurements with the caliper, and here's what you want to get. If you got a leaky seal, there's one on the outside and one on the inside. The one on the inside is this guy. This is listed. No problem. If your seal on the inside is bad, you got a part number, you can get it. If you had the same problem, if you have the same problem as I do in the front seal, the first seal is bad, you're going to have a hell of a time trying to find that thing because it's not listed on the parts diagram. What you want to do is go to eBay and get a generic seal. It's 8 by 22 by 7. 8 by 22 by 7. Now, the 8 is going to be the centered hole. Okay? You see how bad this is? 8 is the center, 22 is the outer, and the 7 is the thickness. Now, not only that, you want to get one that's double lipped. So you type in 8 by 7, 8 by 22 by 7 seal, double lipped. On eBay, $5, $8, $6, or whatever it is. It's not much. That will resolve your problem. Okay? So that was one problem we ran into. So I really couldn't run the bike until I resolved the issue. Then we ran into a whole bunch of jetting issues with this thing. And jetting, as you may or may not know, it takes a little bit of time. So I had to wait. Look at these. I had to go through a bunch of jets, but that's okay. I didn't spend a ton of money. Now remember, this is a budget build, so I'm not trying to tell you that you're going to have to spend hundreds of dollars in jets and stuff. No, you just got to wait a little while. Okay, you get it from China, and you got to wait maybe a couple weeks or whatever. I had to wait, and I finally got them in. And then it took some time. You know, I'm not in here that much, but I was getting the jetting right. So the jetting, I'll give you an idea of what we ended up with. We started at a 135 on the main, and we started at a 42.5 on the pilot jet. We ended at a 150 on the main, and we ended up at a 152.5, or 52.5, sorry. We ended up on a 150 main and a 52.5 pilot. And that's got her idling pretty good. Now, the other thing, we were working on this, the regulator and the rectifier and all of that good stuff. Okay, we got it so that it charges like it should. Okay, you don't want it undercharging, and you certainly don't want it overcharging, because that's going to cause major problems in your electrical system. I'm going to go over what I had to do with that. Okay, that was kind of a drawn out process too. Let's cut away right here, and then I'll explain that to you. See you in a second. Okay, so we were having trouble with the bad regulator. Okay, it was a bad regulator. I don't think it was. Was it a bad regulator? Like I said, I don't think it was. What happened was our stator down here got cooked, because this thing, it was running. I mean, it was idling at like 15.6 volts. And if you revved it, it got up to 17 and 18 volts. You can't have that, man. They'll start toasting stuff. This right here, this is the bad one. This ended up getting toasted. This grounded out. So what that means is when it gets grounded out, that means this the isolation inside it is burned out. That's why it's grounding out, and that's why it's junk. Okay, this thing, I still think this is good. Okay, I can easily unplug that one, plug this one in, and go from there, but I don't think I need to. We got it running good, but here's the thing. When you have a circuit that is overloaded with lights and this and that and everything else, it's going to get false readings. It's going to draw juice on that circuit, and it's going to give false readings to the regulator, right? And the rectifier, well, the rectifier just converts it from AC to DC, but the regulator is not going to be able to function properly because the circuit's overloaded and it's drawing current, right? And it's pulling it down. So the regulator is going to overcompensate, and consequently, you're going to get high voltage readings. So you don't want to overload a circuit. You want to keep it empty. So that's what we did. We ran a circuit that was on its own. So if you look, this circuit right here has lights and stuff on it. This has the spark and all of that stuff on it. But this third circuit, this is your main. That's a 20 amp or whatever, 15 amp. This third circuit is empty. There's nothing on that. The only thing on that is the regulator. Okay, so it doesn't get any false readings. So that's what we did to rectify the situation. And you should always be reading around 13, 14 volts. Okay, now at high rev, if you get into like low 15s or something, that's okay. Your bike's gonna handle that. But you can't be idling at 15.6 volts, and then as soon as you rev it a little bit, it jumps up to 16 and 17. You got a problem. And that's exactly what happened to us. We ended up frying our stator, and you saw the work we did. And we ended up getting a new regulator also, just in case, but I ended up having to get a new stator for that. So that was the other problem we had to deal with. Then came the gas tank. Gas tank is giving me all sorts of hell. First of all, it was one of my worst paint jobs. Okay. And then I got everything mounted. It's mounted on there right now. But I never compensated for the petcock. So the petcock started hitting the frame. So as soon as I added the petcock, because I wasn't going to paint the tank with the petcock on it. You know, the petcock I put on after I painted it and I was getting ready to mount it. Well, it wouldn't. So we had to deal with that. We ended up cutting a little slot in the frame, which the frame is so strong. It's got multiple tubes going. It's got 3 tubes going that way, holding it together. So I cut a notch out of the one. It's not going to affect anything. That's a lesson learned, you know. Do a better job than I did of picking your gas tank. I picked it, didn't compensate for the petcock, ended up painting it and can't return it. So that's how we dealt with that. Okay, then we went through the jetting, and then That's about it. Now, keep in mind, this is all, you know, you guys know how long it's been since I've put out the video, but let's go ahead and get this thing started. And like I said, you know, this is a type of bike that I always wanted it to have just a very reliable kickstart bike. Okay, so we are ready to start this bike. We've talked about it a lot. We're there. I was gonna start it right after the last scene, but I realized that I didn't want to stink the garage up. So I waited till the next day so I didn't have to start it inside. You know, it was kind of late at night. I didn't want to start it during the day or at night and disturb anybody. So I've got the bike outside, right? And we're gonna go ahead and start it, and we're gonna monitor the cool thing is once I get it started, let's get it on. We're at 13.10 volts. I don't know how. Let's see if I can start this with holding the camera too. Take a look at the, we're at 13.2, 13.5, rev it up a little bit. That's reasonable, you know, to have it kind of trickle into the low 15s as it's running. That's not too bad. Got a nice bright light. It'll sit here and idle all day long, man. Now keep in mind, the carbs aren't perfectly tuned yet. I gotta do some air fuel stuff. It's hanging a little bit in the air there when you see how it takes it a little second to come back. I hope the camera does the pipe some justice, but it does sound good. Remember the jets, man, we went up a lot in the jetting, a lot. You know, like I said, the main jet started at 135, we ended at 150, and the pilot jet we started at 42.5 and ended at 52.5. Those are big jumps, but it's idling nice. And we're at 13. It's very reasonable. I'm going to shut her off. There you have it. That thing will sit there and idle all day long. You know, I cleaned the carb several times. I got to do a little bit of air fuel adjustment on the carb. I can do that once we're actually running it, because on this bike, getting to the air fuel is quite easy. It's right from the top. So we'll do that. What do we have left? Well, we just got to clean things up. We got to put that USB thing here. We're going to be adding, now remember, we're going to have our seat, okay? Let's get our seat kind of mocked. We're going to add some frame rails. That's not sitting right, but you get the idea. That's because that thing's in the way. Anyways, you get the idea. Okay, now, the cool things about this bike, this is a budget build. It's the creativity, okay? So, we use, remember, this was a TV stand thing, right? We use that. This was from a cutting board. Okay, we use that. We're gonna be using this thing right here. This is an old appliance hanger. So if you have like you know, a kitchen cabinet like this, this would mount like that, and then a toaster oven was hanging in. That's from my sister's place. But we're gonna ultimately kind of have it like that. Or like, actually, it's gonna be kind of like that, right? A little higher. And then we're gonna put a little cooler or something. We're gonna get a little box to put it in there, and that's gonna be our kind of like our travel box. You know, we'll put some tools and stuff in there. And so we gotta do that. We gotta mount the seat. I gotta add at least one mirror here. We're gonna need that. The tires I was looking at, these are tube tires. That's the other thing I didn't think about. I think I'll be able to get away with these tires, man, because they're tubed. Just because they're tubed. Okay, the tank's already mounted. I think that's about it. Oh yeah, the front brakes. We got, and then all the little stuff. We got to hook up the brakes and stuff. The you know, the levers and rods or whatever there is. We got to clean up the wiring. It's just all stupid stuff. Just little stupid stuff. But finding the time is tricky. So that's where we are at right now. You guys are kind of getting the feel of what this thing is going to look like. The paint job is horrible. Please forgive me on that. And I see the paint runs like crazy. As soon as a little bit of gas touches it. Look at that. See that? That's not blood. That's paint. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that tank. That thing was screwed up from the beginning, man. I screwed it up and whatever. We're just going to run it. Run the piss out of this thing. We're going to do 1,000 miles on it. That's coming. We'll find time for that. So that is, I think we'll get 5 episodes. That's not bad. I could have done this if I wasn't busy with work and stuff. I could have done it in probably 2 or 3. We're going to end up getting 5 out of this. And I was almost thinking about putting a gold chain on it. But that would really set it off. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see. It's just basically cleaning up things. Okay? So that's what I got for you this episode. Episode 4. We're planning on one more episode and then we'll go on the journey. Okay? So that's where we are at right now. Please stay with us, man. You know, like I said, the episodes are few and far between. There's a lot of space in between them, but this is what I like to do. This is what I like to do, and hopefully next summer we'll have things smoothed out, things working on their own, and I'll have more time. You know, remember we talked about that. Whenever you start something new, whatever it is in life, you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to experience it, work all the bugs out of it, and then you can step away from it for a little bit. Right? It's no difference in no different in a new business. It's no different with a new bike. You know, we're not going to take this on a 1,000-mile journey just like that. We're going to ride it around here. You know, make sure everything is cool with it. So that's where we're at. Please stay with us. Okay, we got more coming, and we're gearing up for the big journey. We'll see you soon. Thanks.